Jack Mallers recently stepped down as CEO from 21, which is a Bitcoin treasury company. And now he says he's focusing solely on his other company, Strike. So do you think this is a sign that people are waking up to the fact that Bitcoin is the real asset to hold and not the stock of some company that holds Bitcoin?
I think you might see it as a signal for that. I listened to his interview with Coin Stories, Natalie Brunell, and he was very open and honest. I mean, he kind of comes across that way anyway, and he was pretty candid about that. I think that it was kind of put together at a time when Treasury Reserve companies were kind of the hot thing, and he saw an opportunity to kind of get involved at the board level, but unfortunately, because of the public the nature of the public company, he couldn't really talk about it. He didn't have like a say. He didn't have like a full say on. It was just a voice, right, on the board. So he couldn't really direct the nature of things, but yet he was kind of expected to kind of be the brand ambassador for the effort 21. And he says that it's kind of didn't fit his personality, that he didn't like it. And he had agreed to do that with provision that, after a certain number of years that he was involved with it, that he would be able to get released from his obligations. And, the market went down. It's like, I know people that are currently like doing things like putting together conferences for Treasury Reserve companies. Like, it's the market's down because these companies that got in thinking they were like riding the hype are now having to deal with the market realities, and some of them are folding, and it's just not the darling vehicle that it once was seen as. Seemed like, oh, this is like printing money. You just like create this company, buy Bitcoin, hold on to it, you're good. And I think Jack saw the kind of the writing for what it was, and so when he had an opportunity, he went back to doing his prior thing, which was Strike. And and according to him, that's where his passion and his energy wanted to be. He runs the show. He's the builder. He likes building. He wants to make stuff for Bitcoiners, for true Bitcoiners. This is all things he says, and I tend to believe him at his word. So it's like, it sounds like he made the best decision for him. I can see how a lot of people thought it was kind of selling out. I think seems like he had to disclose that he got a big payout to like leave. So everybody's like, what the hell's that all about? Is that disingenuous? I don't know. I think that's his own private business. But people are going to think that. So I don't know. I think if everything he says is true, then maybe he's going to keep making Strike a good, better and better company for the long haul. So I guess I'm pretty on board with what his explanation was. I mean, there's probably other things that went on that will never see the light of day, but we'll just never know.
What even is the attractiveness of buying these companies? I understand for the companies, they buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes up, and they just keep increasing their balance sheet. They keep increasing their wealth. That makes a ton of sense. And I still think that thesis is accurate. It's going to go up and down along the way. If you ever see that meme, it's like what hodling Bitcoin everyone thinks it's like sunshine and roses. What it's actually like, it's like fire pits and all these downfalls. So I can see that why the companies would want to do it, but the users, why would the users want to buy the company stock and not just go directly to the asset that the company's holding themselves?
Well, so the customer for this stuff is not you and me, right? It's not individuals that can make our own decision, that aren't bound by, well, even we're bound by certain rules. Like you can't, I don't think even technically, well, a company sponsored IRA account. You can't go and just like buy Bitcoin with it and hold it in your own custody. Now that's changing. I know that Trump's talked about putting in rules that would allow balances to be that are in the 401k tax deferred status to be, used, but that doesn't exist yet. So, but if you're a company, you're governed by a board, and if the investment decisions you make have to be cleared by the board. The company itself is like formed under a charter, so there's rules about what you can and can't do that's built into just the definition of what your company is. So whether you're a company or you're a pension fund or whatever, same thing exists, right? So there's basically these institutional class of investors that either because they think it's too risky or their board won't allow it or whatever, they're just not allowed to buy Bitcoin directly, but they can buy other companies, or they can buy a stock market index, or they can buy an ETF, which is another, traded product. That mechanism has existed for hundreds of years. So companies have built into their normal standard operating procedure the capability to do that. So when a company wants to take some of their investment and move it into something tied to Bitcoin, while they can't do it directly, they can buy these other things. So that means like if there's not enough people providing those other things, then there's an incentive for companies to spring up to provide just that kind of thing. So initially we saw Strategy, doing their thing, and they've gone on to make all these other derivative products as well. But then we saw Microplanet in Japan start doing the same sort of thing. They were like a hotel management company failing. They were like, from what I understand, their business really doesn't exist so much. They saw that as a way, because other companies could buy shares of their company, get direct exposure to Bitcoin, but they don't have to hold it. They don't have to go through all that custodying headache. These institutions, they move slow. They don't take risks, and they're not they're the low, slow moving, like broad adoption sort of folks. So they just haven't been able to do it. I mean, even now, I think they said, was it Schwab had opened up some amount of investment in Bitcoin related things, but they still hadn't educated their advisors on how to sell it and what it was. And yeah, it just takes time. It takes time, So we shouldn't be surprised that these things kind of come up to kind of fill the gaps when there's a opportunity. If there's a way to make money, somebody will jump in and figure it out. But now maybe that mode is just not as profitable anymore. So the market should contract, so companies should go away.
Yeah, I agree with that.